One of the biggest things that I see people struggling with when it comes to manifestation is belief. When you're new to manifestation, when you're just getting into it, when you don't have very much experience, especially if you're manifesting something that to you is big, there's going to be a certain level of disbelief, most likely. Belief is an important factor when it comes to manifesting, whether you believe in manifestation in general, whether you believe in a certain method, a certain teacher, you follow a certain ideology. Our beliefs are what control our realities. Your experiences cater your thoughts continue to recreate new experiences, and what you continually experience, you begin to believe. That becomes your reality. When it comes to belief and manifestation, a lot of people wonder, well, I want to manifest something that's a little out of the ordinary, something that maybe to me right now seems impossible. You're saying that I'm limitless, I can have anything I want, but I still feel like there's some level of disbelief. Can I still manifest what I want if I don't believe? By now, you should know that the answer to that question is yes. Of course, you can manifest what you want without believing, but here's the kicker. Belief is such a powerful tool when it comes to manifestation. Your level of certainty guarantees you a few things when it comes to manifestation. 1, that you're going to get exactly what you want. 2, that you're going to get it in a timely manner. And 3, that you're going to be able to have that thing on a consistent basis when it comes in. In order to help me explain belief a little bit more, I do have a book with me today on my iPad. This book is A Happy Pocket Full of Money by David Cameron Gikandi. It's a really, really good book. It's an amazing resource. I think everybody should read it. It talks about manifestation from more of a quantum physics perspective. It talks about time, belief, faith. Mostly it's focused around money, but like any method that you use, if it's a good method, you should be able to apply it to anything in your life. And I think there's so much pertinent information in here. So if you would like to check this book out for yourself, I will leave a link to it in the description. But for today, we are reading from chapter 9. This is Certainty, the Most Powerful Force and the Antidote to Failure. So certainty, faith, belief is a necessary part of creating wealth or anything else for that matter. It is that which gives the universe the go-ahead to do as you wish it to do. You see, you cannot become a state without certainty, for such becoming is unbecoming. You cannot be happy if you are unsure that you are happy. You also cannot create goals without being certain, not only of their accuracy, but also of their coming to reality for you. Many teachers in many religions in many ages have taught us to have faith, to be certain. This isn't new. But now you will see why they have always taught this and see how to create and expand your faith, something that has so far been elusive to many people. But remember, as you read on, that faith is a lot like a state or being. You cannot really speak faith. You can't do faith. You can only be faithful, be certain. And the way to do that is simply to decide to be certain, just like that, and let no other contradictory thought come to you. As we proceed, this will get easier and clearer. And then it goes on to kind of talk about the last and most important step to acquiring faith is to understand how it works. So for me personally, I like to get into the scientific, the spiritual, esoterical, metaphysical side of things because it gives me a broader perspective and more of a reasoning. I'm able to put logic on something that really is illogical, but if it's what makes sense to my rational mind and that's what helps me build that certainty and belief, for me, that's a positive thing. Maybe for you, that's listening to a coach that you agree with. Maybe that's reading a certain book. Maybe you have a mentor or something of that sort, somebody who guides you somewhere where you find your structure, or maybe you're a chaos agent. That's fine too. When you can bring this level of certainty and belief into your manifestations, it is going to speed up the time that it takes your manifestation to get to and the accuracy. So, of course, if you've never experienced something before, it's going to be difficult to get into a state of having or being or doing whatever it is that you're manifesting, right? So people are like, how am I supposed to believe in something that I've never experienced? First of all, that's the point of your imagination. That's the point of imaging. That's the point of your mind. You can experience anything you want right now, here in this moment, right? Time is a human construct. Everything that has ever existed, ever will exist is here now for you in the present moment. You can do that in so many ways, by meditation, by visualization, by lucid dreaming, scripting, journaling, your method, whatever it is that gets you into that state, which is feeling or being, thinking, dominantly, acting, speaking, all the things, identifying as the person plus whatever that thing is. When those two things are integrated, that's when something becomes solidified in your subconscious mind. That's when you know you've reprogrammed. It doesn't always take a lot of time. It doesn't always take going in, diving deep, doing all this work. Sometimes it's as simple as making a choice, and other times it's something that needs to be repeated over and over again. Like I said, sometimes it's by case basis, individually with a person. Some things are big, right? Some things are small, even though to the universe, to God, infinite intelligence, it's all the same thing. And for different people, different things are easier and harder depending on your own interpretation, your own assumptions. Once you've gotten a solid basis, even if you're new to the law of assumption, you're new to manifestation in general, and you've never manifested anything before, it's hard for you to build that basis of belief because you don't have any experience. So that's when you start with the small things. You manifest a free cup of coffee, seeing a weird colored car, a certain phrase or something, like having somebody say something to you that's a little bit out of the ordinary, a text message, whatever it is that you feel like would be easy, something that's small. Start by manifesting those little things. And then once you build up a catalog, you start to build your belief in that manifestation actually works, and you can build up bigger and bigger that way. Another thing that I'd like to mention is when you say you can manifest something even if you don't believe, there is belief there to some extent. If there was no belief, you wouldn't try it. You wouldn't even waste your time doing this if you didn't believe to some extent that there was a possibility it could work for you. So take that, right? Your faith, like a mustard seed, starts very small, but you know the potential. Of course you do, because otherwise, if you didn't think that that seed would grow, you wouldn't plant it. So take whatever it is, whatever you need to hang on to, whether it's a person in the beginning, whether it's a book, whether it's an ideology, a methodology, whatever it is, take that, start with small things, grow it bigger and bigger. Your faith and your belief in yourself and in the law will grow the more you practice and the more you experience. Once you get to that level where you're like, okay, things are getting a little bit more streamlined, you get to the point where you know, okay, if I believe this wholeheartedly, just right off the bat, if I say, okay, something's gonna happen like this, and you don't have any contradicting thoughts, you don't go back on your word, and you don't really think about it or worry about it anymore, that level of certainty is what gets you to instant manifestations and things that actually stick. First of all, repetition, of course, does work. And reprogramming your subconscious mind, I do a lot of this because I think people use certain things to mean other things. They're saying one thing, but really they mean something else, or people are interpreting it to mean something else that I don't think it actually means. So when people say reprogramming your subconscious mind, what you're doing is you're building a new neural pathway. However long that takes, that doesn't always have to take a certain long list of steps, or it doesn't always have to be some long journey, right? If you experience a traumatic event, that's instant reprogramming right there. Instantly, you've built a new neural pathway of trauma. You will immediately, the next time you encounter that situation, your brain will recall that memory, trigger you, and you will be in fight or flight mode. That only took one time. It took one instant. And the same thing can happen in a positive way. If you can have that level of certainty, that's like a boom to your brain, like this is just the way it is now, and you just go on with life like it's always been that way. Of course it's always been this way. Of course I've always had that thing. Of course it's always been like this. And you don't tell your brain anything different. Eventually it's gonna catch up and be like, wait a minute, she's not going back to that old story. Wait a minute, she hasn't been thinking like this anymore. She keeps saying it's like this, but it's not really here yet. We should probably get working on like catching up. We're a little bit behind. And then you keep on with that same thought cycle, the same mental diet, the same affirmations, whatever you're doing, until the 3D catches up. Now, when people say, how long is this and that gonna take? For me personally, I've learned that though you can manifest with very limited amounts of belief or very low belief, the higher your certainty is, the quicker that thing's going to come to you, because there's no resistance to it, there's no blockage. And especially if you're in a state of allowing and not worrying about the how, if you were just like, I'm completely willing to step into the unexpected, I know that this is handled, I have absolute certainty and faith that this is going to work out exactly how it needs to, then you open the possibilities instead of trying to confine it to one way that it can get to you, one pathway that might actually be jumping over more obstacles than some other way that you hadn't thought of that would be easier, just because you simply aren't aware that there's an easier way. And so when it comes to that, I feel like people don't want to go that route because they feel like they're giving up some sort of control, or they feel like that they have to co-create with the universe. And it's like, well, the universe is you. It knows you and it knows what you want. Your subconscious mind literally is you. If you don't think it knows what you want, like if you just say everything is wonderful and you keep with that affirmation, you don't say anything else, whatever you think of in your brain as wonderful is what's going to happen, and your subconscious mind will orchestrate that perfectly. So you don't have to be so stringent and so militant about it has to be exactly like this, and be so worried and micromanaging over it. The more you release control, the more that you can build that level of certainty and that faith, and you can let outer intention do the work, and then you see the positive results of that, the easier it'll be every time. And you just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And then you won't have to worry about, oh, I don't believe this thing, maybe this thing is a little bit too big. You're like, nah, it's good. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes, because I know it's going to get here in the most perfect way. Just, you have to start to think a little bit bigger than I always know exactly how everything should be. And that's not to say that if you really want something exactly the way that you want it, and you really know what you want and you got it, you can have whatever you want. But there are other times when there's a simpler pathway, a pathway of least resistance, that will allow things to evolve so much more effortlessly and so much more quickly and easily for you. And it takes a lot less out of you to just be like, that thing would be nice. Okay, it's done. And then to just move on and just know that, like, it's taken care of. It's like Amazon priming your manifestations. We all have our moments for some things. We all have our different qualms, assumptions. We do our best to release our limitations and to do what we need to do the things we want to do. But at a certain point, you do have to just simply make a choice that you're just gonna release a little bit of the attachment that you have to the outcome and just allow things to be the way they're gonna be, because it's literally your subconscious job to make sure that you are getting what's in alignment with what's right here. So as long as you're doing what you know you need to do, no matter how big or how small or how different, how out of the ordinary, how impossible something may seem, just continue to know that you're doing what you need to do. If it worked for something like this, it can work for something like this. And it's the same method, it's the same process. There's no difference, even though it really feels like it sometimes. There's no timetable. You don't exactly know when, why, how things are happening. And sometimes it feels like the exact opposite of what you want is happening. But if you can hold in your mind that everything is on a bridge of incidents, everything eventually is going to work out in my favor. Sometimes things just have to move a little differently for the outcome that is best for me. Just be patient, just wait. And the more you are certain, the easier that process will be, the quicker it'll be, the happier you'll be. I promise. Just give it a go. Anyway, I didn't mean to ramble for that long, but I hope that there was at least something of value that you could take from this video. Again, I will link this, I just have it on my iPad, but I will link this book in the description if you would like to check it out. I think it's really great. It's really easy to understand. And I can't believe I didn't even mention this. Not only is this book really easy to understand, like, it does have scientific concepts and it does go into the quantum mechanics of manifestation, but it's very digestible and it has affirmations in between every paragraph. So it's like while you're reading this book, you're manifesting. I think it's great. So check that out if you would like to. And that's going to do it for me today. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, leave those down below. But anyway, I'm going to go. Love you. Thanks for being here. And I'll see you next time.